So honestly, I do not know what to title this video because I just wanted to talk about, the fights of Wano, how I think they're ending, if there are any power-ups or anything that is going to be resolved before the fights I want to talk about, because there are definitely some things I want to talk about between the Luffy and Kaido fight, the Zoro and King fight, and the Sanji and Queen fight. Honestly, I'm just trying to get videos out there about Wano before it ends, because when it does end, there probably is going to be a little rest period or just, a little calm, chill period between the next arcs, and that means drier content. So I'm trying to get as many videos about Wano out as I can, but I also want to talk about things that I find actually interesting. But before I get into the video, if you could please like, subscribe, and turn on post notifications, that would be greatly appreciated. Also, look in the description and join that Discord. We are almost at 100 members, and I would love to get there before the end of this month. So I want to talk about some kind of minor fights first, because I feel like there are some, just good things that come out of it, and people have kind of forgotten about them because honestly, they're not really that rememberable. Drake versus Apu is a fight that I honestly just completely forgot about, because Drake is honestly one of those characters who I had really high hopes for, and then he just ended up not really meeting those expectations. I do still think he is a great character, and he has potential to kind of make up for that in the future, but I definitely think there is going to be a little clash of ideals, because it is someone who has not switched up, has complete faith in Kaido and that he is going to win, versus someone who has constantly flip-flopped. He was a Marine, then he wasn't, then he was a Marine, then he was like, oh, Luffy, let me join you. So I do think there is a good amount of potential for some good dialogue, and maybe even just some world building, some lore, maybe about the the government or whatever. Maybe something could drop there. Then we have things like Razo versus Fukurojuko, and honestly, I don't have anything to say about this fight. I think it's just going to be wrapped up in regular older fashion. Honestly, I'm surprised it lasted this long, because it is such a small fight in comparison to the other ones. Since Killer and Hawkins fight has just been wrapped up this chapter, there isn't really much to talk about for that one, so I would just go on to the kind of major fights. So I'll start with Big Mom versus Kid in Law. I'm going to say right off the bat, I do not think they are defeating them, but I do think that something great is going to change, like the card said, and I think this will be the changing of the tide of the fight. Like I said in previous chapter reviews, Kid has shown the ability to be able to kind of lock down Big Mom's homies. That can be a big nerf to her and a big help, and honestly, there is a high possibility of the awakening coming into play, and at this point, he has to just show something that can actually hurt Big Mom if he wants to be able to live up to the standard that he has set himself to. Like he said, I am finally in front of Yonko and I have a chance to actually defeat them. I cannot die here. So I do think he may learn Advanced Conquerors, or the possibility of an awakening may come into play. Now that begs the question, what is Kid's awakening? I'm gonna be honest, I don't know. Some people said blood manipulation because it has iron in it and stuff like that. I don't know about that, because that seems just a little too OP. And usually when Oda gives people like crazy overpowered devil fruits, he usually nerfs them physically, so they can't really, they have to be bound by something. You look at Sugar, you look at Bonnie. Bonnie doesn't seem to be the most physically, strongest person. And then you have Sugar, who is a little child. She's stuck in that body. And they have two of the most overpowered devil fruits. They have this hacks in a way that Sugar, if she touches you, you're a toy now. Then you have Bonnie, who if she touches you, you can be really old or really young. If you give that to somebody like Garp, he would literally be unstoppable. I cannot say this enough, man. If you gave one of these overpowered devil fruits to an actual top tier fighter, that will be unstoppable. If you use the same logic as Law's devil fruit, that if Haki is too strong, you can't really use it on him like that, and then you give it a Garb who has top tier Haki, it'll be crazy. But that's not the point. I do maybe think that he could turn other things into metal, so he can just manipulate anything and everything. Some people were saying how he can start to manipulate like rocks and stuff like that, like dirt, but I think a cooler thing would be him actually turning rocks and dirt and dust into metal particles, and actually changing it, its structure, because that's kind of what Doflamingo's fruit did, right? And even Katakuri's, they changed their surroundings into their fruit's element or their substance. So I do think that this is a high possibility, and I just know, even though I do not think they are winning, I think this tag team is going to be insane. There isn't much to go off of in terms of what happened off screen, but I will bet my money that Law was kind of doing a lot of the work, since Kid couldn't couldn't actually do anything. This man had a migraine while in the middle of a war, and now that he doesn't because of Killer defeating Hawkins, he can go all out now, you know what I'm saying? And I know people have had the, the popular take that Killer did better on the roof than than Kid did, but I honestly think there was a reason for that. I think it is now because he is going to go fight Big Mom, and I do think Killer is maybe joining the fight to make it a bit more even, because when you think about it, he has those sonic wave attacks, assuming it works the same on Big Mom as it did Kaido. Kid possibly even being able to hold her down while the others attack Big Mom. I think now they have an actual chance, and like I said a billion times before, I don't think that they are actually defeating her, but I do think something crazy is going to happen, and I think it may even result in Big Mom being scarred or hurt really badly, because we have not seen her basically hurt at all, except for with the Mother Caramel stuff, but she has not been really scarred by anybody else but herself really. And I think that'll finally change with this Kid, Law, and potentially Killer versus Big Mom fight. Moving on, I want to talk about Sanji versus Queen, and there is quite a bit to unpack here. So you have the obvious lore of the Germa and everything that Judge did, and we are going to obviously get some of this through Queen. But another thing that I think is going to result from this is the mention of Vegapunk. They worked on a team together, and I think he has already been mentioned, and I also do believe that he is coming to Wano. But I think it's kind of inevitable that there is going to be some type of info dump that we are going to get through Queen, because he's the only person right now in this arc that can tell us something right now, Obviously, I do think he is coming a little later, pause, and I think this is going to be where we get to know some more context on the stuff that Vegapunk was going through, because he's the only good one out of the group that was called Mads, which is a science group between Queen, Vegapunk, Caesar, and Judge. So there has to be something. I know Caesar resented him, and even though they hated each other, that Vegapunk still went and covered up for him. So I 1000% this is where we're getting some type of drop. Actually, this may be where we get what exactly SSG is, or these new things that can replace these warlords. Queen could have potentially been working with Vegapunk while he was actually had the blueprints for this, SSG or whatever it is, and that is how we will find out. But besides that, we have the obvious, Judge stuff, the Germa, the exoskeleton, the enhanced human things. But honestly, there isn't much that I can actually think of when thinking of this. But to be honest, there isn't much of a conclusion I can reach as to what exactly will be spilt during, this fight regarding, the Judge stuff. Now, moving on to a very interesting one is King versus Zoro. Now, the Lunarian plotline is a very interesting one. I'm sure people have heard the point that the Lunarians kind of mirror the Fishmen in a way, and even have some connection to the Skypians. With the Fishmen, they were living underground. With the Lunarians, they were living on top of the earth at the highest point on the Grand Line. The Fishmen kind of got tucked away, and the Lunarians got completely destroyed, and they got completely erased from history. And then you have the Lunarians being the opposite color of the Skypians' wings. And another interesting detail is that the Skypians lived in a high place, but that just goes to show that you literally have to be disconnected from the earth to not be wiped out by the world government. But I think what we will get through this Zoro fight, we will 1000% get some type of drop for this. We're definitely going to get some lore about what happened. A prediction that I have personally is that we're going to get some type of name for the extinction of this. You know how there's the Rocky Port incident, there's a God Valley incident. There may be some type of name for this. There's a reverie for that event that happened. There's the Great Cleansing. Honestly, King's Rice might have been just a part of this, Great Cleansing. It could honestly just be that. But King's character is very interesting because this could directly tie into whoever is at the helm of the world, aka Emu, because we know that the world government did in fact take the Grand Line over from the Lunarians. But through this flashback, we can know exactly how it happened. In the process of it, just get some overall history on the old world government, depending on when it happened. Just imagine if we get some lore with the Lunarians, and they possibly even had some type of friendship or really good relationship with the Skypians, because those are the people that lived at the two highest points of the world, the Grand Line and the literal sky. And maybe whoever took over and dethroned these Lunarians absolutely hated them because they were not human, but they were at the top of the world. They stood for everything that opposed what they stood for, so they took over. And this could even mirror the 19 kingdoms coming together to dethrone the ancient kingdom. Going back to my Joy Boy and Ancient Kingdom Theory video, this could mirror it because they possibly weren't the type of gods that they thought they should have. They were, you know, false gods. People, oh, how are you gods, but you still treat people equally? And this might have opposed all the ideals that they stood for, just like in the ancient kingdom. Depending on the timeline, honestly, we could get some lore taking place during the Void Century. I know it's a long shot because the Void Century just seems like such an ambiguous thing that we're not going to get a lot of information on until, you know, Raptor days, or when we get some crazy poneglyph information from Robin. But I do not think it is a crazy thing to say, honestly. There really are endless possibilities, but I do want to know what all of you guys think. Definitely let me know any Lunarian theories in the comments. I'd love to read them all. But moving on, we have Luffy versus Kaido, and this goes without saying, this is going to be the biggest fight in Wano. This fight will bring so much to the table. It's going to bring a Kaido flashback potentially with Rocks, his time on Rock's pirate ship, and I think we may even get a little flashback to that day. If you remember, Big Mom even mentioned that day when they were about to die on Rocks, and then Big Mom saved Kaido by giving him that fruit. We could see Whitebeard, we could see Rocks, Garp, Roger, Rayleigh, even some of the lesser known people of that crew. Honestly, there were a lot of people that he kind of just glanced over. We know that Shiki was on the crew, we know that Captain John was also on the crew, and we know that just a whole bunch. I think like this dude named Big Axe or something like that was on the crew. So we're definitely going to see all of them in action. And speaking of that, there is even a possibility that we could see what Whitebeard did, because there is a very popular theory that Whitebeard actually switched sides on this day. I would absolutely love to see what happened during that fight. Another one is Yamato and Kaido's flashback. Maybe there may be some more context behind this. This will also tie into another point, which is the Ushimaru stuff. That whole plot line with Kaido, Yamato, and Ushimaru is clearly not done. And I think this may even show us some things about Ushimaru, because if you don't know, in the Japanese kanji or whatever, Ushimaru is basically talked about as this great swordsman, this specific kanji that is talked about with only Oden, Mihawk, people like Fujitora and Shanks, what Zoro strives to be. So he's definitely going to be insanely strong. Obviously he did die by Kaido, but I do think we will see some really good feats, or honestly just portrayal. The way Ushimaru has been talked about, he is just this great swordsman. He's the only person that is related to Ryuma that we know of besides the obvious Zoro. He's a part of the Shimotsuki bloodline, and he just has to be insane, to me at least. Another honorable mention is CP0, whoever they're going to fight. I think some of CP0 may fight Brook and maybe Sanji, but I'm not sure about Sanji because he seems to be preoccupied right now. But Robin is with Brook right now, and CP0 said they were trying to capture Robin, so it's just put one and one together. And I think this fight may show some more motives of CP0, which I think will be really cool for the story. I've said in multiple videos that I think CP0's true motives were not fully revealed yet, and lo and behold, I was right, and they first came for Who's Who and to confirm that death, but now they're after Robin. I think this will be really interesting. But I do think I covered everything, and if I didn't, please let me know in the comments, and just any other discussion you want to have. I love any discussion with my subscribers. If you made it this far, please like, subscribe, and turn on post notifications. That will be greatly appreciated. Also, look in the description and join that Discord. And until next time, peace.